Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. Welcome back to our YouTube channel and to episode 4 of the new N-scale layout build. If you're watching last time, you will have seen me start on the second level, frame up the area above the lower helix, and also a rather complex corner frame that went next to it. In this installment, I will continue framing down the straight portion of the peninsula. 4 more frames. So without further ado, let's just head out to the workshop and get to work. Well, today I'm expecting quite a lot of visible progress. I have 3 fairly simple frames to do. The first of which is already assembled and roughly positioned, and I've only been out here a short time. There will be a curve on the front, but I can't do that until I have at least one more section in next to it. Next, I'm going to work on a trapezium-shaped piece, and then there will be a long, skinny piece that goes down this side. So let me work on those, and I'll be right back. Well, that's 2 frames roughed in. Next thing I've got to do is bolt them together and make some legs. So let me get on with that, and I will be right back. Those 2 frames are now bolted together, and I've built the legs. I haven't actually permanently attached the legs, which is why there's a clamp there at the end of that one. I might want to slide them sideways just a little bit, so I haven't screwed them in place yet. I will do that after I have built the next frame. But that will be a job for this afternoon because my stomach's telling me it's about lunchtime. So don't go away. I'll check in with you again later. Well, that is 3 frames built and positioned today. This one should not have been as difficult as it was. I think I managed to get the angle slightly off, and I ended up having to make an adjustment at both ends. Otherwise, this front string I wanted to curve, but it's now nice and straight, and parallel with the benchwork the other side of the aisle as well. The taper and overlap in this piece is designed to hold the double-sided backdrop down the middle of the peninsula. And with the height difference, it really doesn't matter that the frames overlap in the middle there. It's a lot easier to build them that way, so that this one has at least 2 straight corners. And no, that misalignment is not a mistake. That was planned. Anyway, I'm just going to get those legs permanently attached and get some bolts in here where the clamps are, and then I think I'll call that a day. So don't go away, I will check in with you again tomorrow. Well, here is my method of getting that curve accurate. I just clamped a straight edge to each of the straight tangents leading up to it, put a piece of plywood underneath it, draw 2 lines on the plywood, and then connect them up with a smooth curve. In this case, it's 36-inch radius. It's just resting in place at the moment. It helps to clamp a board underneath the framework like that to rest the plywood on. Now I've got to permanently attach it. Let me do that, and I'll be right back. The other curve is slightly more complex in that there's only one end where I clamp a straight edge, and at the other end the curve goes into the next board. So my method here was just use one straight edge, and after marking out the plywood, install it, clamp it in place at the same level as the top of the frame so that I can draw around it. That way I can also continue the curve onto the frame, and I will trim that with a belt sander after removing those screws or push them further in. Here is what the other curve looks like when it's installed. That corner block is glued to the plywood base, but it's only screwed to the framing. That way I can adjust it if I need to. Well, it is Saturday morning. I did come out here for a few hours yesterday, but I forgot to bring the camera out, so I didn't make any video recordings. There may not appear to be much work done, I spent most of my time out here working on the backdrop for the Winslow scene. And it probably doesn't look like much, but it was a lot more involved than it may appear. Firstly, I had to make sure that it can come out for transportation, because otherwise this section will be too tall to go through his doors. It also had to be sturdy enough to support the upper helix and the top deck. And I had to make sure that it positions accurately with no chance of the customer getting it in the wrong place, because I'm not going to be installing this railroad. I'm going to be shipping it and he's doing it himself. So I needed to make it completely foolproof. Not that I'm saying the customer's a fool. No, far from it. He's a very smart guy, but I need to make sure that there's no way he can get it wrong. These legs down here lock into position and then come out with 4 screws each one. And then that is rock solid, and it will provide a good anchor, a good foundation for the upper deck. So with that bit completed, I can now move on and work on a new section. Today my goal is to build another rather large L-shaped section that goes in this area. It bolts onto the end of that lower frame and comes out all the way to the corner in the peninsula, where it will rest on the DCC cabinet, which I haven't built yet. Anyway, I need to rip some more wood, because the only strips I have are 3.5 inch wide, and I need some that are a bit wider on this section. Let me get back to the table saw, make some more strips, and I'll check in with you later. Don't go away. Well, here is that frame almost done. This corner gets a curve, so I will do that in situ. Note the 2 different levels. This section here goes on top of the DCC cabinet. The track on this side is at base middle deck height, and there'll be another section fairly narrow along this side, also at middle deck height. And then at the end of the peninsula, the track starts to curve around and drop down, and then this side will be in the canyon. So that is why the frame needs to be significantly lower there. Anyway, I'm going to go inside, get some lunch, and then when I come back out, I will work on the DCC cabinet. So don't go away, I'll check in with you later. Well, that's all for this installment. In the next one, I will continue where I left off. I will get the DCC cabinet built and frame up the remainder of the peninsula. So I hope to see you back then. Until then, thanks for watching, and bye for now.